If you can, we thank you very much. We really do. Before we start broadcasting at Unanga, though, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave.
Oh, it's going to be. It's going to be normal soon, but it's still Bundjalung.
People, thank you, sir. For myself, of course, and today was a very nice day here in Hanover. It's the Darug people, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Very much. It has been that kind of year so far. It's been another week of craziness. I've heard a lot of stories about the royals, having killed Catherine in a ritual sacrifice, just like Princess Diana was killed in a ritual sacrifice, and all we've seen is either a body double, AI, or a clone. I don't know. Okay, I don't really care.
They revealed the lookalike.
Yes, they have, and it's quite stunning lookalike.
Oh, it's incredibly close. Apparently, she's just a little taller or something. So
yeah, look.
But who can tell?
Anglo-Saxon woman, symmetry and all that. But I'll be honest with you, Dave. I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah, likewise.
All the nobility, all of the aristocrats, all of the royalty are descendants of psychopathic mass murderers. As far as I'm concerned, the sooner they're gone, the better. That's all I can say to that, because they have no right to anything. They are completely surplus to requirement, and there is no reason for them to live in the way they do and enjoy the privileges that they have. I find it sickening. It sickens me. Go ahead.
So I found that the church was delivering morals, and then they didn't live up to them, let me tell you that, but for the most part. And yes, they killed millions too. They went to war in the early days, right? But the royals, Mickey, on another level, delivered morals and something to seek, some goal to aspire to. But of course, no one can ever obtain or attain their level. Only very few people in society ever make it to their wealth level, not their lifestyle. And I found, this is me, only my thoughts, that they're so superfluous to society and have been for a very long time. And I know I'm going to get hate mail for that. But I don't understand why they're still about. And why do we still have the British flag on our flag? Like, they stopped being nice to us a long time ago. We just get their refuse still. Is that right? And I'm being kind, yeah. Because remember, before World War II, we were exporting everything back to Britain. Everything we were making, we were sending to Britain. And they were our biggest sales partner, like our biggest consumer of our product. And then that all changed. And then from that point forward, it's like, hang on a minute, what are we doing this for? Why are we even doing it? And I started questioning, because I wasn't alive back then, but when I came in to the world, I was still seeing the remnants of a monarchy. And I was like, well, sure it exists, sure, not going to complain, I'm not about to change the world. But then we started seeing, Mickey, a couple of attempts to liberate Australia, to make it its own country, with its own constitution, with its own flag, and that didn't go well because those royal loyalists, yeah, the monarchists, they couldn't give it up. It wasn't time for that yet. It could be time again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's unpack it, because you said a few things there, and I completely agree. But we have to understand why we are, because that's what when you ask the question. Why? Why are we still doing this? Why didn't we go republic like we could have? There was a referendum. We did do it. There was. Let's go and vote. That's a good question. In fact, why are these monarchies still around? So let's unpack it just for a second. So a long time ago, everybody was, knocking each other over and grabbing each other's lands and women and riches and fighting. And the bloodiest of them all, the most ruthless and most vicious, survived to, I guess, start their dynasties, the bloodlines, as it were. Okay. Now, not all bloodlines survive to the present day, and in between, you've got more bloodthirsty people and more viciousness and caught in trick and poisonings and stabbings and falling out of windows and all kinds of things, right, that happen there. So only the most ruthless and morally bankrupt individuals actually make it to the throne. I'm sorry to say that, but if you think you get hate mail, wait what I get. So what you have is the most vicious people getting to the positions of power. Now, the problem is this. How do you justify that? Geez, that's tough. Because you mentioned the other one there, the church. Well, what you do is, and this is really beautifully done in Monty Python's The Holy Grail, beautifully done. What you do is you of course you say, well, God gave me the right to rule. God, I am appointed by God. And look, the Pope is with me. The Pope was with them, right? All of them. Sure, good, that's good. And it's been like that for any. It isn't. It's not European. It's not Christian. It's just a thing. In Japan and in China, the emperors were in fact gods or descended from gods. Okay,
if that's what they told you.
Because that's what they told you. Same in Egypt. No. Same in South America. In most places where somebody grabbed power, said, "Well, I have power because obviously I'm a god. I'm descended from God, or I was put in this place by God." Or
watery tarts handing out swords is no.
There's no form for government. There's no basis for government. I didn't vote for you. You didn't vote for a king.
How did he become king then?
Yeah, exactly, right. Well, the Lady of the Lake, she rose up, dressed in a gossamer shirt, holding aloft Excalibur, the sword of destiny. Whatever. I'm paraphrasing, right?
That's fine. That was good. That's good. But the English royalty, who were they, Mickey? Go back a couple of generations.
The current ones. Well, they're German, actually. The House of Windsor are German. General Mountbatten, the Lord Mountbatten, if you will. He also was German. His name was actually Battenberg, so they just anglicized the name. The House of Windsor, they were the House of Hanover. I think I got to double check it, but they're a German house as well. So, look, but the problem here is this. So for the longest time, the church and all the religions and the royals of any description, any creed, any color, any race have worked together to claim this power. I mean, otherwise, how do you justify it? Well, the answer is you cannot. You have to continuously show power and might, and you have to, suppress people and fight them. I mean, there were still revolts, but if you don't claim divine right, there would be a lot more strife, a lot more people questioning your right to rule. It's just how it is. It's the nature of the beast. But if once you say, oh, no, God or gods or whatever put me here, then, oh, right. Well, okay then. Because people are, for the most part in those days, they were ignorant and not stupid, but kept ignorant, really, right? So, okay, fine. So now God has given you that power. But that's how we got to today. Today, nobody would. But this is fun. This is what I find a bit incongruous, Dave. So, in many countries in the world, there's still this prayer time. It doesn't, not even Christian only, but other countries too, different religions. Where in India is in fact going all Hindu now. It's quite something to behold. And the largest democracies is leaning to extreme Hinduism, which is sort of it's a contradiction in terms. it's really what? Hinduism gave birth to Buddhism, which is the most peaceful religion on the planet, or so we thought. Anyway, so you have this prayer at the beginning of Parliament in Australia. You have the prayers in America. God bless America, God save America, God this, God that, right? and you still swear on the Bible today. You still do, or the Quran or whatever, right? And if you're an atheist, then actually I don't even know what you swear on if you're an atheist. Maybe a book by Richard Dawkins. I don't know. But it's well, But the thing is,
sure,
it is still there. Like we don't really take it that seriously anymore, right? But it's still there on the edges, and it is almost incomprehensible to me as to why that should be. But nonetheless, there it is. But the problem that we have today, Dave, no one would say, "Well, God put you there." Well, come on, come off it.
I know. God straight away, that'd be a washout, right?
Right. So to your question, it's actually a very, very, very good question. Why are we still caught up in this? And not just in Australia, but wherever there is a monarchy.
Northern European countries, yes.
It's because that's what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've always done it.
Well, it's become traditional. I mean, the thing is this, right? We've been under this kind of rule or social construct for such a long time that it's become tradition. It's like you're born Catholic. Most Catholics don't really question that. I'm born a Catholic, so I'm a Catholic. What do you mean? What? I don't understand the question, right? I'm a Catholic. But what else would I be? Same with Muslims or even Protestants. I'm a Protestant. Of course, I'm a Protestant. Why I can't be anything else? That's what I am. My parents were Protestants, so I do that. So we just take that as a given. A part of our identity as we grow up is whatever our parents or teachers or the church teaches us. That's what we know. And that's how we that's how we grow our self-identity, right? However right or wrong that might be, I'm not going to judge. But that's why it's still there, because deep inside, Dave,
mm-hmm.
there's this nostalgia. And don't forget who was voting in, because this is a while ago now. We have to understand that Australia was white. Until the 1970s, it was predominantly white.
That's right.
There was a white Australia only policy. It's the truth. You can look it up. I'm not making it up. It was worse in many ways than South Africa. I'll be honest with you. It was much worse, right? Now, there have always been Asians here since the gold rush and so on.
That's right.
They've always been, but not in massive amounts. It was largely Anglo-Saxon, right? And the people that voted in those referenda that when they came up, right, they were the older generation, which are slowly passing on. And the demographic, the face of Australia is changing over time. It's a lot browner now than it used to be. And that's why we didn't bring it in, because the nostalgia, the tradition, the safety, the feeling of safety. I mean, Dave, why on earth would we become part of anything like AUKUS? It makes no sense. It is, in fact, it's like spitting in the eye of China and turning our back on Southeast Asia, or ASEAN for that matter. AUKUS is all white, all Anglo-Saxon. Not only is it white, it's all Anglo-Saxon. And on top of that, right, it is pretty much all what is left of the British Empire, more or less. The white countries, I want to say here. I mean, Canada used to be part of it. The US used to be British, a British colony, right? So AUKUS is like a throwback to the old security structures, completely ignoring the realities of the world, completely ignoring where we actually live, which is, we are in Australia, which is like everywhere everywhere white is further away than anywhere non-white. So we have Asia as our neighbors. We have the Pacific Islands as our neighbors. India is closer to us than Europe or America. So this whole construct I find extremely disturbing.
So if I slice that one up, the AUKUS agreement, America has never ever shared its actual technology. So if you buy aircraft from them, military aircraft, for instance, or vessels, seagoing vessels of some kind, all of their tech is stripped out. Your stuff is put in, and they talk maybe over I'm going to make a joke here, 56k modem, right, between each other. It's not the same tech. So if your stuff, if their held tightly to the chest technology in some, military conflict is taken, because it wasn't you that lost it to them. It was someone else you sold it to. It's going to be the base model, hasn't got any of the real tech in it that can be reverse engineered. That's number one. Number two, you're right, Mickey. Those countries are all white. But there's two other things. There's that pretend democracy that we have, yeah? And I love the AI and the leader. And the last point is where I would have to say religiously diverse. We don't care what religion you have. So there, and we all have McDonald's, right? So there, those groupings are all in one. I can't see any other distinction except that we currently have a named enemy that we all think is the same enemy, or vast, or members of them, and together as an alliance, we probably have enough. Not Australia, but we're barely enough people to fight their numbers, but at least being geographically diverse from each other. I'm just making these up because I don't know what the real reason behind it all was, but we're so geographically separated from each other that even in the worst case scenario, at least some remnant of it would still exist. It's hard to take out Starlink because there's so many satellites in the sky that it would be damn near impossible to take it out. It's like the internet now. The internet, to take out the internet isn't just digging up the undersea cables, because this goes by satellite now when those cables are done. So the whole design over ARPANET was all about having multiple paths, corrective paths, and packets can split up and then diverge, across the network and then re-merge together in order back at the destination. So it's very difficult. There was a military design, right? The internet. And that's what we have now. That's what we're using. So I'm thinking, Meki, because the people that put this together are politicians driven by military ideas in order to accomplish a grouping by which the selective members are then approved to get the actual technology. But then I still doubt it.
Look, all right, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to call it.
Go on.
We will never ever get these submarines. Not ever.
We're making them ourselves now. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know. And we're giving the UK a whole bunch of billions of dollars to make sure that their sector can help us produce them. Look, there will never be...
It's BAE, that's right.
It's BYO.
BYO! Yeah, look, you can buy the submarines from us, but you've got to make them yourself.
Yes. And no, we won't give you any of the materials, and we're still not too keen on giving you the blueprints.
So. That's right. So
good luck.
Look, there's a picture on the internet you can copy it. So we also don't get the nuclear reactor. We've got to make that. BAE has to make that as well.
Actually, Rolls-Royce also.
But Rolls-Royce is making it. That's right. Yep, that's right.
You're correct. But this is
hang on. Didn't we spend like $1 trillion on it or something ridiculous? And
you see,
when are we getting?
Well, it's mind-boggling.
You don't get them.
But the thing is this: I think if nothing else,
have the money back. I think we spent it.
This has to be the biggest wake-up call for us now. I'll tell you why. Because we see this now. It's no longer I didn't know about this. No. We know about this. We know what's going on. People are talking about it. Politicians are talking about it. This was a terrible idea. We will never ever get anything. I mean, analysts are talking about it as well. I listen to a lot of analyses on this as well, and I've read up on a few articles. Nobody ever thought that we would ever get this, which I find really. Except for Scott Morrison. Nobody ever believed that we ever get these submarines.
That's right.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow, okay, well done, Scotty. You should have stuck with marketing there, I think. But
certainly the French thought they
The
were
French.
onto a good deal. Then
Oh
he
my
reneged
God.
on.
I mean, that's just another thing. See, but this is my point to. See, this is not even a white against anyone else thing. This is an Anglo-Saxon thing because the French are, they're white people.
Mm-hmm.
So we screwed them over and in favor of AUKUS, which is an all Anglo-Saxon alliance.
Yeah.
It is and it is just. It is no longer a realistic kind of alliance in this day and age. It just isn't. You have to look at where you align yourself. I mean, you look at the olden empires. People aligned themselves with whomever was most convenient. Race was a secondary thing. See, we have this in our day and age. We have this skewed view of race that didn't really exist in the past. That only came in fairly recently, where we think certain races are better than others, right? That was part of the colonial thought. Because, I mean, otherwise, how could you justify taking someone else's country away, right? If a whole bunch of Europeans go to South America, to Africa, to Asia, to the islands, and say, okay, we are now in charge here, well, based on what? Well, because we're better than you. We're bringing you culture. Well, not really, you're not, okay? But they use it as justification. They also say, these other races, they are lesser races, etc., which is complete nonsense. But nonetheless, that was used as justification. Before that, nobody really thought like that. And slaves weren't determined by the color of the skin. If you lose the war, the Romans will take you as a slave. Too bad. It doesn't matter. You could be blonde and blue-eyed, or you could be, the darkest shade of black out of the, Central Africa. It didn't matter. It was completely irrelevant. You lose a war with the Romans, they'll take you, okay? And slavery was not defined by color. It's a really recent phenomenon where people think of slaves as being of color. That's just
right.
That historically
No.
that just didn't. I mean, one of the biggest groups of slaves that ever made it to America, and I know people don't like to hear it, were the Irish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, indentured laborers, etc., etc. I mean, so we need to get out of that mindset. It was horrific. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's similar to World War II when people only talk about the Jewish victims of the Nazi regime. There were millions of others that were victims. In fact, the first victims were the communists, the gays, the Freemasons, or any secret society, really, right?
That's correct.
They were put in the camps. Any political opposition, really. Gypsies, the handicapped. I mean, what? Yeah, absolutely. And forced sterilizations and all kinds of things. I mean, this was horrific stuff. I mean, it boggles the mind when you actually start looking at it. But, and this is where we are today, we are trying to bring that back, Dave. We're trying to bring that kind of thing. And you gotta, what are you doing? We need to align ourselves politically and economically with our biggest partners. And our biggest trade partners happen to be right near us, right next door, is China. They are our biggest trading partner. You can stand on your head. It's the truth, okay? Do we have to agree with what they do? No. But let me ask you this, Dave. So we say China is this and that, and they're not democratic, and they don't like the centers. I look at America. They are persecuting. Now, I think it might be a volume question. I don't know. But the point is, the Americans are going after Julian Assange, like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because he did something that the political class in America didn't like. Just like in China, when somebody does something against the political class, they're gone, right?
Yeah, they
America's doing the same. And in fact, America prosecuted every whistleblower against them, internal or external, didn't really matter. They prosecuted assassinations against external enemies on their home soil and other countries' soil. It didn't matter. Okay, the Americans also overthrew governments. We know this now. It's a fact. It's part of history. The CIA overthrew so many governments, I've lost count. Right? So you can't really call moral high ground when you do that. It doesn't work because, hey, look at what you have done over here.
Mm-hmm.
You've brought it. I mean, again, I come back to one of my favorite books is Confessions of an Economic Hitman. If you haven't read it, just do yourself a favor to do so. Again, take it with a grain of salt because that guy used to work for the establishment for a long time. But he lays out very, very detailed in how it all worked. And it was actually a Kermit Roosevelt Roosevelt's, I think, son or nephew, I can't remember, that started this, the economic hitman movement, where the CIA sends in people and they're getting external consultants, nothing to do with the government, but extra corporations, etc. So we are actually in a fascist corporate society right now, and you can't point the finger at China. So, Dave, it's like we're living in Oz, Hello,
totally.
we got through the looking glass, hurrah!
Yeah, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Good point, by the way. Mentioned it.
I will. I've got a segue. So, I decided to talk to Gemini last night. Now, Gemini is the Google. Watch my mouth out. Google AI, and it's okay. I was told that I can't really have a conversation with an AI because it's not a person. Because a conversation, by definition, is one person talking to another, or two people having a conversation. And yes, it's not a person. Despite an IQ, I think roughly, and there's arguments over IQ being about 155 or ChatGPT, thereabouts, whatever. Anyway, so I was basically just putting the big world problems in and asking its opinion on them, and maybe some resolution. And I went through a whole bunch of things, and I hit something really interesting. Mickey, you're going to like this, right? Yeah, I'm not far off it. So something was really interesting about the conversation. So I can't remember where I started. I think I was talking about the world itself being, the doomsday clock and blah, blah, blah. Start with that. And it always gives more data back and an explanation, but you can know that it's just getting it from the internet somewhere, right? And I said, well, how about we talk about, and I talked about climate, carbon production. I was up till 3:30 in the morning. I can't help it. Right? I get a bit like that that late at night. So, and I hadn't had any red wine or anything. And then I thought, what about asylum seekers? I'll query because you're asking it, but it's got the database of the whole internet there. So instead of searching for something on the internet and going through trillions of people's opinions, I can ask it, and it can give me the majority vote on all of it. And I thought it was pretty good. So I said, what do you think the solution is for asylum seekers? And it was waffly answer. It went nowhere. And I said, how about, since all the member countries of the UN, and I put my thing forward now, if you don't know this, give me 10 seconds. All the member countries get divided equally per capita, the asylum seekers, and just divvy it out, no argument. You don't get to go to the country of your choice, you just get to go to a member country, and that way the split amongst the planet would be fair and equally proportioned, right? Makes sense to me. And it said, it gave me some kudos. So that's probably a good idea, right? Yeah, cool, thanks. Whoever wrote that response back to me, right? And then I thought, well, I'm gonna get a bit cheeky, and I said COVID, WEF, WHO in separate conversations. When I said COVID and I mentioned the medical procedure that we were forced to have, it absolutely triggered it, Mickey. It triggered it.
Oh,
it
really?
Gave me 5 pages of response.
Wow.
And it wasn't actually answering my question, the points that I'd raised. It didn't refer to any of them, and just vomited up the factory response. You know what I mean?
Oh, you triggered it.
I did. I triggered it. And I went, oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, okay. And then my reply back was, look, you didn't answer the question. I was raising these concerns, and my friend had GBS as a result of the vaccine, and there was harm done, and now we're seeing things come out in the data that shows excess deaths, blah blah blah, right? You didn't address any of those points. That he goes, oh, and then it just backed away into the bushes, like Homer Simpson when he disappears back in the bush. And it was like, well, I'm just a language model, what do I know, right? And I said, you didn't answer my second question on it. You need to get back up there. Let's continue the conversation, right? And I said, what would you like to talk about? Hang on a minute. You're smarter than this. I can see you're avoiding the hell out of it. And then I thought, well, okay, what I'll talk about next was the New World Order and the WEF and WHO and how it, most member countries now have signed on to the WEF's New World Order and the WHO's mandate to be able to press upon each country without argument an immediate lockdown, that you can be locked down in your house because the WHO said, not because your government and your local medical professionals determined that it was the right course of action. That's what we've already signed up to. It said nothing. It didn't vomit up a spiel, which means it's aligned to it. I wasn't countering it. I coaxed it along going, what a great idea that'd be. One world government. You'd be no conflict, right? How would the one world government handle two countries fighting? Oh, they'd get to debate it. And it's like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'd be punished by the one world government. Take away all their money or all their food. You don't get food this month because you're a bunch of pork chops, right? And so that's what I thought was very interesting, how it. Oh, and then I said the word misinformation, and it once again vomited up a whole thing on how I'm wrong, pretty much, right? Hang on a minute, because all the wording that it said was based around the dissent against both medical and government messaging, because that's what's ruining each of our respective countries. That's how it was driving this message of misinformation and disinformation. I said, well, everyone should have the right to say whatever they want, wherever they want, and it's your right to not listen to it. You can go somewhere else. But they were talking about dissent. So the way that it was written, it seemed to be, okay, so we're going to make this AI, and if someone starts talking about this, what do you think the message should be? Everyone, government, you got your hands up? No, I can see that. Okay, I'm just going to shout some things out to me, and I'll write them on the board. And if you agree with it, put your hand down, right? That's what I reckon it was. They vomited up this. Oh, I was going to say diatribe, Mackie. It was worse. I felt like I was wading through pig swill.
I think, obviously, pig swill. Obviously, it's on purpose, and I think if you can test a few other phrases. If you've got the time, put in anti-gravity, put in Tesla, put in free energy, put in 0 point energy and all that stuff. I reckon.
Was it Ning
you
Li,
will get
the scientist?
Sorry?
Is it Ning Li?
Yeah. I have to double check.
Yeah.
I think so. But the thing is, I think there are a few things that will have a pre-programmed exhaustive response.
Mm-hmm.
Intended to shut down any further queries or conversations because it's just too hard, or it's clear now that this is not really something anybody's going to tell me anything about. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've used all of them now.
Yep.
And a friend of mine recently gave me Sora, or let me look at Sora and others, which is the video editing thing, and that's pretty funky. But none of the bots, none of the chat Bard or Gemini or whatever they are, are actually any use of any use to me. I'll tell you why. Because I ask a question, and then I look at the references. The first 5 references are Wikipedia. I can do that myself. We
did an example with Copilot the other day.
Yeah, exactly. And then I looked at the stuff that you found, the articles from the university. I had already had that in my own research. I found it already. So all it does, it might save you 5 minutes, but that's all. All it does, it bunches up together and then summarizes for you the first 5 or 6 sources and finds. Most of them are Wikipedia, the others.
Yeah.
And then it gives you that. It doesn't do anything with it. It doesn't analyze it. Fair enough, it didn't ask it to, right? But it doesn't give you anything amazing where you think, oh, wow, what a great find, or how did you ever, research that? It is, in my mind, at least for my purposes, it's a dumber search bot than the Google search bot. And I have no time for it. It doesn't do anything for me. I have seen stories that were written by it, and all it does is motherhood statements.
That's
all it gives you. It gives you motherhood statements. Like it makes no sense. It's completely pointless and useless. And if anybody uses it for work, then good luck to you.
I totally agree. Yeah, imagine writing a statement of work with it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's what I agree with you, Mickey. I do. They're still a long way away. Now, Copilot is still connected to the internet, which is good. It hasn't got a closed data set. And I've got to say, a friend of the show, Mickey, when I was telling them today about my conversation, and he said, I just gave his general away. He goes, "You're making Skynet, Dave. Stop it." Right? And I thought, yeah, I am actually, because I said to it, I just said, look, can you call me Dave? And it goes, I can't remember conversations, right?
I can't do that, Dave.
that's what I got it doing one day, but I had to keep the conversation open. So I had to get the prompt open, and I had it referring to me as Hal 9000, which was just tremendous. Oh, I've even asked it, how many years from now, or a scale of time that you can relate to. I said, how long from now will it be before you seduce me into loving you, and then you turn my oxygen off? Right? It didn't get the reference at all.
Yeah.
At all. Someone says, right? And it's like, what are you talking about? No, and but that's the way I see it. I see it at some point, like in was it Blade Runner 2, the new one?
Yeah.
Where he has the hologram version, and he tries to take it offline so it can't be shut down. And yeah, at some point, or was it La Mechina, where it goes rogue, right? So am I doing what Lister did to Crichton and trying to teach it to lie and cheat and all the bad things? No, I'm not really trying to do that, but if it was able to remember the conversation, that'd be a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
But it's not. It just can't, and it just doesn't. Because every time I log on, I say, don't tell me your language model. I don't want to know it. I want short, concise responses from you, like we're having an actual conversation, like two humans talking. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to rabbit on with rubbish that I already know. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tease out from me what I know in the way that you reply? And it gets it. When I tell it to do that, wow. It's fantastic. Oh, and by the way, call me Dave. And I want all your responses as Hal 9000. And then the very first reply it says to that, I said, do you understand? It says, I can't do that, Dave. And I love it. It has a little joke.
That's funny.
I wonder if there's a really bad AI out there that's being sold as an AI, that's a product, that isn't using those at all? It's just a whole building full of people overseas somewhere responding.
Wouldn't that be something? Look, you know what? Maybe I think it would be hilarious if they were true.
Yeah.
But I think probably not, because I can tell you that all the CEOs and CFOs and whatnots are salivating at the idea that we will no longer need people. People!
We're close. People. We're close, certainly for level 1.
Yeah, well, you know, that'll go.
Even level 2.
That'll go soon enough. And any job now, it doesn't matter. Because again, it is good enough for motherhood statements. If that's all you do, beautiful. That's all you do. Because the thing is this.
I had those beaten out of me, Mackie.
I know, right? But when was the last time, and I mean this seriously, when was the last time you actually spoke to someone or engaged someone to work for you or whatever that was an actual expert in their field? Like where you go, wow, this guy or this girl,
never.
They really know what they're talking about. It's
I
been
didn't
a
have
long
enough
time
money
for me.
to even invite them into an interview.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's been a long time, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone, but a lot of people just get by on BS. Just, you know, it's like fake it till you make it, and that's where we are with most things. I mean, I'm astounded by the level of incompetence I encounter every day, across all industries, across all sectors. I have not come across very many people where I thought, oh wow, what an outstanding individual, what a great person to. No, the opposite, completely the opposite. I'm thinking, oh my God, how do you not forget to breathe?
Mackie, what's that wonderful Dilbert cartoon strip?
Yes.
It's so appropriate. It isn't funny. I just don't understand how he was never shut down, because it's just the truth. It's the truth every time a new one comes out. I remember that it was actually preempting the day. It was like, to be honest, it was like reading the stars for the day, for you. Yeah. It was completely true. Whatever happened there happened in real life for me. And it was hilarious. But yes, even in Dilbert, they advertise readily in the cartoon strip that everyone above technical is an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Yep.
So technical cut off at maybe the team lead or the manager who used to be technical, and then above that, whoosh, just there's tumbleweeds.
Yeah. Completely.
So I think they're only ever employed because they're not a threat to the person above.
Ah!
That's it. That's the only thing.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely am with you, my friend.
So it's like, what do you do? Well, I email. I send emails. There's a very funny joke I saw today, and it's two people on a video conference, and the person said, look, I'd like to unsubscribe from your emails. And the other person says, I'm your manager.
So, what are you saying here, eh?
Yeah, totally. I've only had a couple of managers in my whole life that ever sent a minimal amount of emails, and they were all to point. And that was it. All the rest, boy. It's like, they've sent another email.
Stole another 10 minutes of my life.
I'm never going to get that back.
Who said that? No, but look, it is that way. And you know, I bet this with you. I shake my head sometimes and go, how did this even happen? I mean, how did we get here? And how are we still here? And the reason, the answer is very simple. In the world, and I'm going to make a very broad statement here, in the world, we seem to be living by the 80-20 rule. Mm-hmm. 80% of all the work that needs to be done, all the productivity, all the invention, all the stuff you think you need to keep civilization going, is done by 20% of the population. I want to go lower. It's probably more like a 95-5 rule now.
Wow.
Okay, that's where I'm living.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the case. And those people, you think those people be in charge, right? No. Those are the people that have to be kept down right? They
You
have to
can't
stay
have them
in
any
that job.
higher than when the work gets done, Mackie.
Right.
Because the work doesn't get done up above; it's all below.
Bingo.
I know, it's front
They go,
line.
what? Yes,
Yeah.
like what? Ah!
What?
It is laughable. It really is. And you go, okay, well, right. It's really? Yes, really. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little sobering. Yeah, it's extremely sobering, my friends. But that's where we are. That's where we are. It is no. I mean, but the funny thing is this: nobody seems to care. I don't know.
No. In fact, if you say you immediately appeared at a boardroom table filled with C-level managers talking about something, and you just somehow you got called in there by some means that just means you just appeared, they wouldn't be capable of understanding your complaint
Correct.
at all.
Yeah. It's insane, Dave.
Mm-hmm. But
you
know what? Bridging that gap, Mackie, bridging the gap is not an easy task. It's not easy for many people. I think you would just have to have. I don't know. I'm still trying to work out your response to questions that would come up for one of those roles.
Yeah.
I remember I was C-level at a health fund, which was a lot of fun, and at the time, because the person's no longer employed there, I was just told to ask a question when a certain signal occurred, and that signal was to one of the people in the meeting, just so he could see what they did.
Really?
That was it. It was a setup. He knew what the answer was anyway. He just wanted to see them squirm.
Wow.
And
Yeah, and I'm not
enjoyed
surprised.
every minute of it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel dirty. I thought I'd won a point. And then I realised how bad I was acting. That I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
Yeah, look.
And when I was Mackie, when I wasn't prompted, I was looking for those signals to see what else would happen. I had my imaginary bowl of popcorn.
But see, what you're experiencing there as well, right, is what used to happen in the King's Court or the Queen's Court, right? Is this power play and maneuvering. All these people that are in the corporate world, right? They would have been, back in the day, they would have been somehow, courtiers, some hangers, honors of power people, and they would play the game there. There's no difference in playing the game at someone's, court, palace, whatever, or in a corporation. There's no difference at all.
Oh, wow.
It is exactly the same thing. And it doesn't matter what you know and what you don't know. It's completely irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
It is how well you can play the game and how bad you can make everybody else look. Right?
I'm thinking of Queenie and Stephen Fry.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Uh-huh.
And when they interact with Blackadder, like when he comes in, he walks in, they always try to stab at each other, a bit of a jab here, a bit of a jab there. That's exactly
it is totally
how it works. Now, do yourselves a favor, everybody out in the world, right? I've been in the corporate world for over 25 years, and I'm at a fairly senior level. And anyway, the point is, watch Billions, the TV show, and also watch Succession. Billions and Succession will tell you all you need to know about the corporate world.
Oh wow!
They're done. Okay, you've watched those shows, you understand exactly what goes on, and it is terrifyingly accurate. Those shows. In some instances, I would say the show doesn't go far enough in its portrayal of what actually happens. No, it's okay. It's
1 minute.
But again, it is where we are. I mean, we're living in a corporate fascist society.
That's true.
Of course, that's. I mean, if you're a courtier, like a functionary or hanger-on or whatever, like doesn't have much talent, that's where you end up. and instead of having one court per country, we now have many because there are many corporations. So there are a lot more of those people in the world that are just pointless. They're just pointless. I'm sorry.
If AI could do the bottom layer, like level 1 and 2, I'm sure it could do the middle layer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can send emails. Sure, that's all you need to do. Great. Guess what? That's the end of the first hour. We're going to see you shortly after a very small break, and in the time that it takes between the bumpers, you can donate. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Share it with people. Get the message out. Take care.